Something that really shocks people when they see the Model 3 for the first time is the pure white seats. They're absolutely insane, and they are the whitest seats I've ever seen. But will they stain, will they mark, and will they burn? Let's find out.
Luckily, the lovely lady from the Tesla service station gave me this. It's one of their kind of testing slabs that they use when you're ordering a Model 3, S, or X to show you what the color would look like. So you could put this here, then you could put like the carbon fiber strip here, or I don't know, the Alcantara strip here with the black outside exterior here, and you could kind of match them all up together. So you get this little slab, and then on the back here it says ultra white, which is what obviously the color of the car is, and you can see that it's actually a little bit grubby. Now this is used every day, all day, and it has been for the last year or so. It's also got a little bit of like a scratch or a scuff there on the side. It's got some stretch marks down here at the bottom, but overall it's in pretty good nick. First and foremost, let's try and clean this thing. So what I've gone out and done is I've bought two types of wipes. I bought the Armor All wipes and I've bought the Spark and Shine wipes. This was £1, this was £1 for this packet, and this was £5 for this packet. You only get 20 in this, whereas you get 60 in this. So it works out at 1.6p per wipe here and 25p per wipe here, just because this is car specific. I'm going to see if there's any difference. So we're going to clean this little strip here with this wipe, and this big strip here with this wipe. So this wipe's pretty big, and it's actually quite thick feeling. It's really, really moist, but it smells... Oh, moist, I don't like using that word. But it smells amazing. And then after just one wipe, let's see how much dirt has that picked up. It's not picked up loads, if I'm being honest. It's picked up a bit. It's got like a little bit of like a darker sheen to it. But that's not too bad, considering how dirty that looked. But it does seem to have done actually a pretty good job at getting all of the muck off of that side. So that was 25p for this one sheet, whereas one sheet of this is going to be 1.6 pence. I know this isn't a review of wipes, but yeah, instantly it's like a thinner, cheaper wipe. But does that really matter? I don't think it's going to. I think these are going to be overpriced a bit, but this I thought would be a good test to see if there is any difference. There we go. Give that a good old clean. Okay, let's have a look at the wipe. Yeah, pretty much the same. It's like a little bit dirty, but not too dirty. With both of the wipes used, really there's no difference in each side. It's cleaned both sides really quite well, and they've come up to a nice, brilliant white. This desk is also insanely white, which is why I wanted to do it on here. And you can see that it's pretty much, even though this is a newer desk, this has come back to pretty much the original color, or at least it looks just as white. So I would say go for the cheaper wipes. Don't waste your money getting those more expensive wipes. One of my biggest concerns with the pure white is just how much is it going to show up things like this. This is a felt tip, so this is something that my daughter uses. So they're always lying around, and I'm always worried that this isn't going to come off. But let's have a look. So I put it on there. Obviously, it is going to be a little bit wet, a little bit damp. So again, I'm going to use the good cloth on this right side. Or, sorry, the more expensive cloth. And you can see that wipes it off completely, and it comes up here on the cloth itself. And then this is the cheaper cloth. And I'm just going to wipe that side with the cheaper cloth. And as you can see, it's come off just as well. So, felt tips, not really a problem anymore, and we don't have to worry too much about them. But let's start stepping it up. This is a pen with a normal pen lid in it. And it's actually quite hard to write on it. Look at that. I guess that's again because it's slightly damp. But there we go. It's actually pretty hard to write on it, or it's just a really crappy pen. I'm not sure. Okay, let's see. Will it get pen off? Aha. Okay, we're starting to have a little bit of an issue here getting this pen off. You can see that it's really staying on quite tight, actually. But with a good rub, it actually does start to come off. I've given that a really, really good wiping, and actually a lot of it has come off. Some of it is still on that side, but nowhere near as much. I think if you actually got deep into this for a good 5 minutes or so, you could probably get all of that pen off. That's actually pretty good. All right, let's try the cheaper one and see after the same amount of time. I'm going to rub this for a minute, and let's see how well it does. I've put just as much elbow grease into that side, and you can see that it's actually not come off quite as well as the other side did. So let's just see, is this going to make any difference? If I rub this now and this comes off, maybe actually this 25p one is worth it. No, look at that. It's not quite coming off this side. So this side over here, for some reason, isn't coming off quite as well as this side. Now, I'm not sure if it's because maybe that the properties that this has left on the material is it stopped the ink kind of soaking in, and this doesn't do quite as well. But you can see that there's a very defined line there. But to be honest, it's come off better than it would do on most materials. So that's not too bad. I've given the slab a good wipe down now, so it's back to being dry. You can see that there's a very slight line there, and a slight line here, and a slight curve there. So the more expensive one did do a little bit better than this one, but not by much, to be totally honest. Okay, let's try the next test then. A Sharpie is obviously the most ultimate test when it comes to pens, and I'm going to actually use this, but not on this. I'm going to use this on my car, so make sure you stay to the end to see me use a real Sharpie on my real interior of my brand new Model 3. That's to come, but this is also an issue. Crayons and pencils can be an absolute pain, so I'm just going to do a little scribble on both sides. Okay, there we go. So you can see on there that the red has definitely been picked up. The pink didn't get picked up too well. Is it going to rub straight off? I kind of hope it would do, and it should do, because this is just obviously leaving some sort of lead or whatever on top of, well, I guess it's not lead, on top of the material. Yeah, look at that. That's wiped off on both sides. The pinky reddy color has been wiped off completely. So crayons and pencils, not a problem. This in my other car is a huge issue, but I actually don't think it's going to be that big of an issue in this car. It's a little bottle of milk, so this is just some of my daughter's milk left. And in my car, in my other Tesla, which has black interior, this stuff is so obvious. But this being a white interior, I don't actually expect, do I have to I have to milk it. I'm actually having to milk it like it's a cow's teat. That's what I was going to say. So anyway, let's get this milk on. Gonna get this milk on. Now that normally would stain hideously in my black Model X, but in this, I think it's just gonna kind of wipe straight off and not really be a problem. Look at that, good as gold. What we could do actually later on in the video as well is leave some of this stuff on here for longer, let it dry, and then I'll try and wipe it all off. That's to come. Another big problem is this stuff. Tomato sauce. It's an absolute nightmare, especially when you've come back from McDonald's or some kind of fast food restaurant. They've given you some of this sauce and it's gonna wipe itself into your seat. So, oh, yeah, it's not nice. And this on any seat is a nightmare, but on a white seat is gonna be absolutely hell. So I'm just gonna put this on here and I'm gonna rub it off, because there was quite a lot of ketchup on there, using this towel. There we go. And there you go, look at that. You can see that it's left a horrible kind of stain down the middle there, and it's left some residue on both sides. So let's wipe this right side. Perfectly clean. That's not bad. Oh, it's a bit of a weird smell, because obviously it's got ketchup and permanent marker smell and stuff on it, but that's not going to stop us. Next is this, a fizzy pop drink. Now this I didn't even know existed. It's called Coca-Cola Energy. So I'm going to try a sip as well. But this stuff, when it gets again in between your seats and whatnot, is an absolute nightmare. So it tastes just like Red Bull, but kind of Coca-Cola-y, and I'm not a fan of Red Bull at all. Anyway, let's try pouring some of that on there, shall we? And just move that over. Like all over it. Mmm, sticky. Oh, it's actually dripping Coca-Cola right now. We need to get ourselves some clean cloths, because the last ones are just full of ketchup. So there was some ketchup left in here. I'm gonna do this left piece as well. Get my nail all the way down. And I'm gonna wipe my table. And boom, look at that. Back to goodness. And I've got to say, actually, the biro marks, they're just about there, but they're actually disappearing. Each time I wipe this with something new, the original biro marks that weren't coming off are actually going. So that's pretty cool. Let's change things up and step it up a notch. So we're not going to be doing food this time. We're just going to put some heat near it. And we're going to see what happens when we put a lighter that's been heated near the material. So I'm not actually going to burn the material because that's not likely to happen. But let's say you've got this lighter, okay, which has a stupidly big flame for some reason. And it's got really, really hot. The metal bit here gets very, very hot. And then I'm just going to press it against both sides of this. And we're going to see how easy does it kind of singe or burn, or does it take any of notice of this. I'm going to put that there for 5 seconds, and that there for 5 seconds. Has that done anything? Can you see that? So we've got a slight mark there. I'm not sure if that's just a pressure mark. And we've got a slight mark on that side as well from the burns. But I think that might actually just have been a pressure mark from putting that in. All right, let's try a little bit and have a look. So I've just singed the corner there. And you can see with a little bit of flame, it really does go really quite quickly. We're going to step things up a little bit, and we're just going to put some kind of harsh object on it. So I'm going to be using this. This is my Leatherman. And I'm basically just going to use some of the serrated edges and some of the knives just to see if I kind of just do that across it. Let's see if we run the big blade over it a couple of times, if that does anything. So that's quite a bit of pressure. I wouldn't like to put that much pressure down, if I'm being honest, on myself. You're seeing, actually, I'm getting a load of black off of my Leatherman, and that's actually coming on here. So I'm just going to rub. Yeah, look at that. I'm just going to rub my Leatherman all over it, because I do use this, like, going out and trekking and stuff with the dog, so it does get dirty. Look at that. That's getting absolutely filthy. Let's start off with the cheaper wipe and go down this side like that. There we go. And I'm going to also just do my fingernail down the center there like we have done before. And you can clearly see from here that it didn't like the knife at all. So the knife has definitely been the one that's caused the most damage. Let's have a look at this side after giving it a really good clean. Yeah, yet again, it's the knife. So these are really, really small, minute knife cuts that you can see. And that seems to have opened up the material a little bit. But what I've got to say, I'm really impressed with the stain resistance of this. Like, look, everything just wipes off. I'm going to give this a real good clean. Give me 1 second. There you go. So now it's nice and clean, but yeah, you can still see the knife marks. And I mean, you know, it's a seat with material on it, so a knife mark is going to be visible. But look at how clean the rest of it looks. Except for obviously this corner where it's got singed a bit. Here was the hot pinching that the lighter did. And then this was obviously a scuff that was already on it. But for the majority of it, it is so super clean. And it still has that kind of brilliant white finish. And I hope that is showing through here, because it definitely is nice and brilliant white still on here, minus a few scratches. What we're going to do now is leave some of this on it for a little bit. So this is some spaghetti bolognese. Oh my god, I'm slipping around because I've been holding the... there we go. I've been holding obviously the material. And I'm just going to put that on it. And what we're going to do is... we're going to use that tonight, so don't worry, there's no waste in this household. And instead, we're just going to leave this on it. And I'm just going to... oh, that is just grim. And I'm going to let that dry. And we're going to come back to it in half an hour. While that's outside getting a good bake on, let's go to the Model 3 and write in permanent ink on my pure white seats, Tesla driver. Yeah, this is about to happen. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to write Tesla driver basically under here in Sharpie. And we're going to see if Sharpie can come off. So I'm already noticing, interestingly, like it's kind of blotchy. As if you're putting it on something that already has like a stain resistance liquid soaked on it or something. So there we go. Tesla driver has officially been written in black Sharpie on the bottom of my car. I'm going to try wipe out driver using this cloth. Oh, look at that. That's a good amount. A good amount of it has actually gone thanks to the cheap cloth. So let's try on the other side the more expensive cloth and see if this has made any difference. Don't forget, this is 25p per piece, whereas the other one's 1.6 pence. But look at that, absolutely no difference from the more expensive cloth on the bottom, or on either of them actually. So it's been able to get most of the permanent ink off, but it's left a vague
Tesla driver in permanent. I think with probably some more kind of professional stuff, that might be able to fully come off, but just by using these cloths, you can get like a good amount off, but permanent marker, it's gonna stain your car.
Back to the tomato sauce now, and it's been 30 minutes. Now, take this with a pinch of salt. It's dried itself a bit. I put this outside in the hot sun, so it's about 25 degrees today, and the sun has been blasting down on it. And what you'll actually notice is that it's opened up. Can you see that? Where the knife has cut, it's actually opened up the material because of the heat. Now that's really interesting, so I'm not sure how that's quite gonna work. But first of all, let's get all of this off. This poor tea towel is being used and abused. It is absolutely vile. Okay, yeah, I need to clean this table. Let's have a look and see then if we can clean this. So I'm gonna clean this side again with the cheaper one. So this is the cheaper wipe. But as you can see, it's done a pretty good job, actually, at getting all of that off. Look at that, even on the sides as well. Yeah, that actually is wiping off, even though that's dried on a little bit. Now, this is the more expensive cloth on the other side. I can get my fingers in there. Giving this all a really good clean. And to be fair to it, most of the red has come off. Like, most of the tomato here has come off, even though it's been dried and caked on. Now, it has actually, interestingly, caked and dried underneath it. And underneath, I don't think it's been coated because I can't get, look at that, I can't get the stain off of inside. That's actually a really, really good thing to be able to show you. I'm gonna rub the heck out of that. Yeah, look at that. Even rubbing the heck out of it, it is still stained inside. So most cars would end up looking like that now. Whereas this, because of its coating, because of the way it's designed and what it's made of, you're still getting a pure white, lovely looking shine. And don't forget, this side I abused with the same knife and the same power. So only once did it cut open all the way through. Whereas on this other side, it looks really, really good. In conclusion then, what do we think about the pure white? Let me know down below in the comment section. I have no regrets in getting pure white, and I would tell everybody to get it. The stain resistance properties of it are amazing. Obviously, yes, the knife has cut through it, but it took me the strongest cut to actually get through the material. All the other cuts didn't actually cut through it, but they just left a very slight mark. But otherwise, it's been able to withstand pens, tomato ketchup, tomato sauces, Cokes, milk, absolutely everything, and it's still pure brilliant white.